Hello there, YouTube. I am Necrostevo. I am Necrostevo. And welcome to week number 4 in the Pokemon Premier League, season number 5. Our opponent this week is none other than Daria and her Minneapolis Meowscarada. Daria is no stranger to the shadows that life can bring, and so if you know what's good for you, you should have already been subscribed to her channel. In particular, I would like to shout out what she is doing at the end of her videos this season, so please be sure to check it out. Watch them in sequential order, and of course, wear those headphones for the ultimate experience. It's kind of like when you wear headphones to listen to me, because you just like it when I get all up in your ears.
Dude, look! I learned how to wiggle my ears! Check it out! Is it happening?
Now then, without further ado, let's see what Daria has to bring to bear against the Victorian shadows this week. Daria's team consists of Darkrai, Galarian Slowking, a Terra Hydrapple, Tinkaton, Terra Galarian Zapdos, Rotom Wash, Ursaluna. We have Kleavor, Alolan Sandslash, Jumpluff, which can also Terra, and of course, her team mascot there, the little Shroodle. So quite the team that we have to go up against, but that is okay because this week we have a Terra Ground, Dragon Dance Necrozma. We have a physically defensive Glimmora with Rocky Helmet and Corrosion to hopefully throw a Toxic onto the Galarian Slowking or the Tinkaton. An offensive Ogerpon Wellspring, Choppleberry on a pretty speedy stealth rocking Crocodile, which is just here to get up rocks and knock up as many heavy duty boots as possible. We have Swords Dance Baxcalibur, and then finally, we have a very specially defensive Empoleon, also with Choppleberry, because looking at my team and looking at her Galarian Zapdos, I do not have a lot of switch-ins for that monster. So that is the team that we have for this week. You know, in the team builder just then, I think I forgot to mention that she has a Skeledirge. I don't know why. You don't leave out the leading lady. Skeledirge can come and sing a dirge that's right on brand for us. How could I forget Skeledirge?
Please go about your business. I'm okay.
I do not know. However, that is the team that we have, so let's get right into the battle. Now here, we are joining the battle with Daria, and we can see that she has brought her Galarian Zapdos, Hydrapple, which can Terra into a Steel type. We have Alolan Sandslash, Rotom Wash, Ursaluna, and the Galarian Slowking, which can also, both the Zapdos and the Hydrapple Terra into Steel types there. Now here our general game plan is to get up entry hazards and spread Toxic. That will generally allow Baxcalibur and Ogerpon to break in the back, while hopefully allowing maybe Empoleon to switch into things like the Hydrapple or the Rotom, soak up those special hits, and then pivot out. I do have Roost on Empoleon in order to get back some of that HP. The other thing that's really interesting about this mode is that Galarian Slowking has a move called Chilling Reception, or Chilly Reception, excuse me. He tells a really bad dad joke.
The bird flu? Yeah, they tend to do that.
And then after everyone gets the chills, just like Dante,
Gives you chills, don't it?
he leaves the battlefield, sets up Snow, and then she can switch in another Pokemon. So of course that leads to the natural combo between Galarian Slowking and these Alolan Sandslash, because underneath Snow, its defense goes up and its speed gets double because of its Slush Rush ability.
It's delicious.
Now we have to be very careful here because I did not really prep for the Alolan Sandslash, but because her Terra types are Steel, I do think if I can force a Terra type, then it'll allow Necrozma to do a lot more damage in the long term. I also have to be careful about Terraing my Necrozma though, because that would make it weak to the stab type moves. from like a lowland sad / using an ice type move. We get a great lead matchup here as I lead with Crocodile because again, I just wanted those rocks as soon as possible.
I got a rock.
I'm gonna rock you till you feel the rock and roll.
So while we do get the lead here, I was very, very tempted to go for taunt in case she wanted to set up or do something herself. I also was very tempted to knock off first. If she stayed in, I got rid of item, but if she swapped out, I could get rid of maybe an item on the Zapdos. And I was worried about Zapdos being Choice Scarf here just because of its great coverage against my team. But I do elect to just go straight for the Stealth Rocks because we have Glimmora as the switch into the Zapdos. Now we will see when I bring in Glimmora here, Glimmora has the Rocky Helmet item, so any contact moves from Zapdos here, I was predicting her to go for a U-turn, are going to trigger that Rocky Helmet and get a little bit of chip for me. I am surprised by Trailblaze, which not only would have done good damage to my Crocodile, but then it would have ensured that she outsped in the future. So yeah, Trailblaze also gives her a speed boost here. It doesn't do much damage, which is nice. I really wanted to throw off a Toxic here, expecting the Galarian Slowking to come back in, but I elect to go for the Power Gem because I didn't want to hit Ursaluna with Toxic. I didn't know if it would be Flame Orb or not, but against my team, Assault Vest looks really good, and so I didn't want to give it a Guts boost and for it to have the Assault Vest, and I was correct here. Going for Toxic would have triggered that Guts ability on the Ursaluna as it comes in. Power Gem does not do much damage, but that means that if she goes for Facade, I made sure that my Ogerpon could take 2 Facades. I only have enough speed on here for, I think, her base.
Based? Based on what?
I have enough speed on there for the... yeah, just enough speed to outspeed the Galarian Zapdos. So it gave me a lot of extra points to play around with for a little bit of extra bulk here. We can see Facade does not do over half, and so that means I get to throw off a free U-turn here. I also really wanted to Swords Dance. We see Hydrapple affected by our Stealth Rocks, which is great. On the plus side, that means that she didn't put heavy duty boots on it, expecting to Terra Steel maybe and resist those hazards. On the other side, that might mean that it's either maybe Assault Vest or it could be an offensive Hydrapple of some sort. U-turn does a lot of damage, so I don't think it's physically bulky at the very least. And so we are going to bring in Necrozma here and just go for Dragon Dance. This feels a little bit early, but my thinking was I could hopefully punch some holes, and then after getting some holes punched, I could clean up later on. Now Rotom Watch switches in here and I was like, oh, this is excellent. If this is an offensive Rotom, after a Dragon Dance, I can just one-shot this thing with Photon Geyser. I also know that after my Dragon Dance, I'm going to outspeed the Rotom, which is really, really nice. I was thinking that she was going to Volt Switch, but here she surprises me and outspeeds me and goes for the Will-O-Wisp, which means she is absolutely Choice Scarf Rotom locked into Will-O-Wisp. So that sucks because now my Photon Geyser does not KO. I think it actually switches and goes off of my special attack stat because my physical attack should be lower than my special attack with Will-O-Wisp cutting the damage of physical moves in half. I'm not really sure how that works out in the math. I could have swapped out to something here or gone for another Dragon Dance. I really think Dragon Dancing again was the play. She goes out to Galarian Slowking, and I was actually surprised at how much this did. I think that was a very high roll on that Photon Geyser. And again, that interaction between my other stat being higher, I'm not really sure how that plays out there. I really should have Terra Ground. That would have allowed me to do more damage to her overall, but I thought that if I went for Terra Ground Earthquake, it would do less damage because then it would be going off of my physical attack stat. So if I got the high roll again, I could have maybe KO'd the Galarian Slowking before it went out into the Alolan Sandslash here. But on the plus side, I have the Hydrapple very much chipped down, and I have the Galarian Slowking very much chipped down, so we're looking pretty good. Now right here is where there's a few mind games, because I figured that she would have Earthquake, Ice move, Steel move, Swords Dance. Here I went for the Earthquake, but I did not Terra, thinking that she would go for the Ice move, but she just goes for Swords Dance. And I was like, oh, okay, I could have Terra there and done functionally double damage instead of doing that little chip that I did. So I was like, okay, so is she going to go for the ice move here? I think now she's going to go for the ice move. So I elect to stay in and go for Earthquake again and not Terra. So I do get another Earthquake off. Doesn't do that much, but you can see if I had Terra, I would have two-shot it. But then she Leech Lifes me. And I don't know if you've ever been bitten by a pangolin, but I didn't know they had that ability to strip the life force out of you and KO you and heal themselves up like that. I was so flabbergasted by that move. I was just sitting there going, what the hell? I was sitting here trying to figure out if she's gonna go for the ice move or not. That means that my Crocodile is gonna give her a bunch of HP back. My Ogerpon will give her a bunch of HP back. But because she has Leech Life, I was like, okay, she probably has Ice move, Leech Life, Steel move. So maybe I don't have to worry about the Earthquake. So I want to stall out the snow is my thinking in going to my Empoleon here. But she has Earthquake too, so I lose my Empoleon and my Necrozma. And I was like, does she not have the Ice type move? I could have just gone out to Excalibur. So does that mean she has the Steel type move? I didn't know. I didn't know what to do here, honestly. I know that she has Earthquake. I need to stall out the snow at this point, and I sent out Glamora to just get sacrificed here, hoping that the Slowking did not have the Icy Rock. If it did not have the Icy Rock, then this would be the last turn of snow, but because the snow continued, that means that there's 3 more turns of snow, and that means that this Alolan Sandslash is just going to be the one punching holes here in the team. It's going to completely clean up. There's 3 more turns of snow. I don't have anything that outspeeds it. My priority moves are resisted by its Steel type. And even if I could whittle it down thanks to the Life Orb, because it has the Leech Life, it gets all that HP back. This is reminiscent of my Week 2 battle where Tornadus was just getting all the HP back no matter how much it was getting whittled down. So I was just in disarray this battle. Now the proper play would have been, after I found out that she had Earthquake, I should have just gone into Excalibur. That would have accomplished a couple of different things. I did not go into Excalibur initially because I wanted to preserve it to do things later. But Excalibur gets the defense boost from the snow, so really he's the most likely to live the hit. And after I saw Earthquake and Leech Life, I should have assumed no Steel type move. But I did not go into Excalibur assuming that there was a Steel type move that I'd be worried about. Another thing I could have done here absolutely would have been to Terra Ground my Necrozma. Terra Ground Necrozma might not have died to Leech Life, and also Terra Ground Necrozma would have two-shot the Alolan Sandslash. Even though I was burned, I had +1 for my Dragon Dance, so just a number of different things that went wrong there. I personally blame my poor plays here on making poor plays, just making poor decisions mid-battle. Now, is that a function of me not having any sleep thanks to the sun and my CPAP machine that I'm trying to get used to? But also, yeah, the sun, I hate the sun. I blame the sun for this. It brings me shadows, but at the cost of general darkness, you know? So I'm going to blame those things here. I absolutely could have given Daria a much better game, but at the same token, I was so happy to get to battle Daria. I've been following her battles for quite a while, and while the PPL is quite stacked with good trainers, I just haven't been playing very well this season, and I just, my mentality just hasn't been all there. So Daria, thank you for the battle. I can't wait to see what part of your story comes next. And we really need to recalibrate. The shadows are not doing what they need to do lately, and I don't really have an excuse for it. I feel like I'm playing and bringing the teams correctly, and then I get into the battle and make really stupid decisions. So the best way around that is to share another bit of NecroLore. So speaking of punching holes in things, that's what makes me think of this week's story. So at the very least, you all are hopefully entertained by the stories that we bring. But when I was a young lad, I was a military brat. And so basically all the way up through freshman year of high school, I would move every year to 2 years because my parents were in the military. And so wherever they were getting reassigned is where we would move. So when I was a kid, there was really no point in making friends. I was always the new kid. I would always be moving anyway, so why am I going to get to know any of these people around me? I know military brats out there can relate to what I have to say. So when I was in the 5th grade, it was definitely in middle school, 5th or 6th grade for sure. We were actually stationed in Georgia, Fort Benning, and we were having once again, a science class, and my teacher was up at the front. I promise I did not put any science experiments into my body. But the teacher wanted us to just go around the classroom and say, hey, so this is the basic idea of our experiment. I want you all to share with me, what are some things that you think would be beneficial for the experiment? Now, in this experiment, we would be basically taking different things that would be like covered with stuff. Like the idea is to understand physical changes. And so she'd have a block that was covered with jelly. How do you separate the block from the jelly? Or she would have something frozen in ice. How do you get the ice from around the thing? So just like understanding the physical changes of it. Really early elementary stuff, but also tactile and good to understand the relationships between things. So when it came my turn, I don't even think it was my turn. I think I raised my hand. And so the other kids are like, oh, we need something hot. We need, can we use a microwave? Oh, we would use, some sort of sifter. That this bin is full of sand and there's something in there. We're trying to get it out. We need something to sift it out. And so I raised my hand confidently. And I said, Mrs. Lee, we need a condom. And the way that class of students all turned around and looked at the new kid, and it didn't help that I was the only black kid in that class. Everyone just turned around and looked at me. And of course, in my head, I was like, oh yeah, a condom. That's what we need for this, obviously. And my teacher was like, Steven, do you want to try that again? Give us another shot here. What do we need for the experiment? And I was like, a condom. And then at that point, the class starts to lose it, right? Because now I've doubled down. I have double bagged the condom that is needed for this science experiment. Now in my head, I'm thinking of a colander because you could put something in it and rinse it off and then that would allow things to work. But I don't know why I said condom. So once again, my teacher, very kind, was like, okay, why do you think we need that? Like maybe there's something that she's not seeing. And I was like, the bowl that has a whole bunch of holes in it? And then at that point she said, okay, so you're talking about a colander. I don't think a condom would be very helpful if it had a bunch of holes in it. And I was like, that's what I said. I said a condom. And she was like, no, you keep saying that, but you mean a colander. And thank you to that teacher, because she was trying her best to help me out, especially as the new kid. No one knew me in that class. I was literally just sitting in the back, drawing. Like no one, it was maybe week 2 of school. No, all these kids' first interaction with me is that I'm quiet, I play with bugs in the back, and now I spoke up and said that we need a condom. Now, to their credit, a lot of kids in that class didn't know what a condom is, but the ones who knew. And so that followed me around for about a month and a half of, oh yeah, that's the condom kid. Fortunately, I was smart enough to flip it around and go, at least I know what a condom is, because I knew that a lot of the kids making fun of me did not know what a condom was. And it's like, well, why would you know what that is, Steven? Are you using condoms? It's like, well, yeah, sexual education needs to happen earlier in school. It's just a normal thing. But also, there's a time and a place. And that time is not during your science class when you're talking about what equipment is needed to separate or help with physical changes between different things. So that is my story of punching holes. Really, as far as stories that involve holes and condoms go, relatively tame, but hopefully entertaining nonetheless. I hope you have enjoyed this NecroLore. I intend to bounce back hella in the coming weeks here. I've lost 3 battles in a row, functionally here. Let's see, I lost against Amber. No, I won week 2. So, you know. But yeah, I'm 1-3, and why? Two of those battles I really should have won if I had played, and I really did think that I brought the right team. So we will continue bringing the right tools. We will utilize them better. There are a few rituals that we need to invoke, namely just getting some sleep before the battles, and we'll see how that plans out here. Thank you all so much for watching and for staying to the very end, and I hope you have a beautiful night. Goodbye.